Before we get started, let me read the emergency evacuation procedures. In the event of an emergency evacuation, an alarm will sound. Everyone should exit the building by way of the nearest stairwell in a safe and effective manner. If the nearest stairwell is blocked by smoke, use the other stairwell. Do not use the elevator. Once you have reached the main floor, follow the exit signs to exit the building and quickly proceed away from the building. Please be mindful of others evacuating and of emergency vehicles.
Larry? Do you have any changes you want to make to the minutes as presented?
Move we accept.
Move to accept?
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are you on roll call? No. Okay, great. Don't have any variance requests, but we have a special exception. So, Thomas, you want to give us a brief summary of this request, and then we'll go from there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this special exception request is actually one to is a request to change a non-conforming use, which by our zoning regulations is subject to a special exception proceedings. Property is 1826 Morganton Road, and the property is, as noted in the staff report, has been used for a wide range of things over the years, but in its last iteration, it was a beauty salon, a hair salon. The applicant, Mr. Patel, is here today. He's also, his counsel, Ms. Melanie Davis, is with us today. But his request is to use the property. He's recently purchased it, and he wants to use it as a tobacco store, discount tobacco store. Just to back up a little bit, the property is zoned suburbanizing, which is a residential district. And just for the record, Blount County, as we all know, didn't have zoning until the year 2000. So there's a whole host of things out there that, you know, upon adoption of zoning regulations in the county became non-conforming uses, what's commonly called grandfathered. And the way the regulations are stated or the way it's referenced in our regulations, which is also found in state law, is that a non-conforming or grandfathered use is allowed to continue forever and ever as long as it doesn't change. Okay, so it doesn't expand, doesn't change, just whatever that use is continues, and as long as that use doesn't cease for a period of longer than 30 months. 2.5 years. And so I think the applicant has produced some documentation showing what it's been used for, when it was last used, so on and so forth. So what the board then would have to do is first establish that there was a non-conforming use there, basically something grandfathered in. Obviously anything not residential, we'd have to look at it from that perspective. And then secondly, the board has to determine whether or not the proposed use or the change of use would be less of an impact than what was there prior. So with that, I've got the various sections of our regulations that would pertain to this are in your packet. I'd also point you to a memo. I asked the county attorney to review this too, just so we had his opinion on it. That was at your desk, I believe, when you came in. So a memo from our attorney is here, which puts a little different spin on it, but I think it probably is that, well, I'm going to agree that he's right. We should look at what the non-conforming use was at the time of the adoption of the zoning regulations, which from what we can tell, it was a grocery store. Arguably, when it changed to a beauty parlor, they should have come before this board and asked for a special exception at that time, and that never happened, and now it's gone, so we just got to kind of back up and try to fix that gap. That's all I have, sir. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And again, the applicant and his counsel are here tonight.
Anyone here in favor of this request? Okay, your name, please.
I'm Melanie Davis, and I'm an attorney at Kaiser & Black, and I represent Mr. Patel. That's my body. He actually owns knowledge about the type of traffic and business that he anticipates at this store from personal experience. So I would like, in a moment, to ask him some questions about what his experience has been about traffic flow and the number of customers that he would expect per day, per hour, so that we can help establish that what we think the tobacco store would be, which is a lesser impact than the original non-conforming use. I believe Mr. Garrett opined that the original non-conforming use would have been the grocery store if you look back to 2000 when zoning was enacted. We have provided an affidavit from prior property. We're talking about the history of the property. That is a letter from Mr. Stephen Watkins. He indicated that this property was originally his grandmother's, Mamie Watkins, in 1957. She ran a grocery store out for many years. Then leased the property in the early 80s to a person named Leon, and he operated Leon's Market there for 20 to 25 years, which would get us past 2000. His father, Roy Lee Watkins, was the sole owner in 08. He died, and then Stephen Michael Watson is his son and one of his heirs. We also have provided an affidavit from Melanie Bowers. She indicated that she opened Image Hair Studio in the subject property in July of 2002. Presumably that's after the grocery store closed. She had as many as 8 stations at one time operating there, according to her affidavit. She closed the business in December of 2016. So we're well within the 30-month period as far as we haven't discontinued non-conforming use under state law. She said that she had a steady number of clients who came into the salon on most weekdays and Saturdays. So from 02 until 16, there was a good bit of traffic from 8 hair stations at this location. Mr. Garrett, though, and I agree, says that we should look at the grocery store use. I will talk to Mr. Patel in a minute about grocery store versus his tobacco store. I certainly learned some things from him about tobacco stores in particular and what to expect there. But what we were asking for here today is for a special exception so that he can change the use of the property from the hair salon to a tobacco store and become a tax-paying citizen here. So if I could introduce Mr. Bobby Patel. Would you like me to ask him questions? Would that be okay?
Sure.
Okay. Is your name Bobby Patel?
Yes.
All right, and are you the owner of the property at issue here at 1826 Morganton Road?
Yes.
And when did you buy the property?
In the October,
Okay.
October the 16th. Sorry, 17th.
17. And what was your intention when you bought the property in October of 17?
Actually, it is like listed as a commercial property, and I didn't know that, once I just went to Mr. Thomas for like a sign on the rear buckets, then he told me this is the grandfather in. So that's my first property, like I bought it. But they sell me as a commercial, so I thought like I should not have an issue to opening the tobacco store, But once I need like for beer permit for zoning department, so I just went to the Mr. Thomas and he said like that's not commercial property, that's a grandfather in. So you have to transfer the commercial property, like you have to change the use, then you can open a tobacco store. And he like explained me what you have to do, what documents and how you have to apply for the changes.
Tell me about when did you open your tobacco store in Jonesboro?
I opened the tobacco store in 2012.
And is it similar to the tobacco store that you want to operate at this 1826 Morganton Road?
Yes.
All right. Explain what your business is to the commission, please.
Like in the tobacco store, we mostly sell the like smoke products, beer, and not like we don't like most emphasize on the smoke only. But for customer convenience, we sell like beer too. We don't have that much soda, no grocery. Like we sell a little bit, not like candies and chips like that only, but not like all that as a grocery. Just only mostly the tobacco products.
And are you like selling them for a discount? Is that the idea that they're
Yes, like-
party or something?
Actually, in the like tobacco shop, people come over there and buy the like wholesale like cartons. So we give to them like as postage minimum, like 15%,
Say that last part again. You give them what?
like cartons, cigarette cartons.
Cartons.
Yeah,
Cartons.
Carton.
I like one of your
Yeah.
cartons.
So we don't have like small customer like a single cigarette packs and stuff. They mostly come over there in the tobacco store, mostly for cartons. and the tobacco bags. So
Is your Jonesboro store similar in size to what you're looking at here?
the Jonesboro tobacco store is a little bit bigger than this location.
How many square feet do you have here?
Here I have like 100 square feet.
Okay, and are you planning to make any changes to the inside of the building?
No, not that much. No.
And tell me about the customers that you have at your Jonesboro store. How many do you have per day typically?
Around like 40 to 50 customers per day, but I have like not continuously customer counts, because I have league tickets, always they buy cartons, so I always $50 on each ticket. So I have like 40 to 50 customers, so I have like around $2,000 per day gross business.
$2,000 per day?
$2,000
$2,000 per day. From 40 to 50 customers, and then a pack or a carton is $50. And how do they come throughout the day? Like, are there more at certain times of day than the other?
No, generally I don't find anything except like on Friday, but regularly they just come like often like every year was 3 or 4 customers.
Okay, how many per hour typically?
I think 4 or 5 customers.
And would you expect to have similar customers, 40 to 50 customers per day at the store?
I think so.
Is there any reason it would be different?
No.
Do you know how many Tennessee and smoke is a percentage?
In the secret is 15%.
15%.
Minimum margin is 15%.
And the other items you're going to sell, you said beer,
Beer.
candy, and chips, but not any sort of produce or
No.
nothing like that. Very good. What is your parking situation there at this property?
Right now I have like wall parking, I think straight, and I think that's parking. I believe that's even parking for the tobacco store, because I'm not seeing like all the parking food at once, like 2-3 customer comes, they come together. So I have plenty of space for customer to come back and go around and return stuff. And also I think proposal like in case we need like next to 1826, next there is a 1830 property. That's fine, so I make like one row. It goes to like a back row, and people can return over there.
So he's proposing to put in an access road. He owns the adjacent property, and he could put in an access road. I believe that there's on a picture in the packet of what he would propose. He would be willing to, and I think it might be a good idea to put in that additional driveway. And my understanding is that the road commissioner that said that that was acceptable. Morganton Road, if you're looking at the packet, there is a photograph that's about the 4th page from the back. It says Fry Gas Station facing on the side, and it shows the layout of Morganton Road in the front of the building, and Wilson Road going up to the right. Is it Wilson Road that you're planning to put in a road through? And you own all that property?
Ms. Davis, if I could interject just a minute so I could speak on the driveway. One thing we've got to keep in mind here is Morganton Road is slated for some improvements in the near future, which would probably, will definitely involve widening. And at issue could be the fact that, the back of his parking spaces may end up being taken by Morganton Road. So
Front ones? These front ones?
yes, sir. If Morganton Road is widened, the city or county, depending on who it is through there, there will have to be additional right-of-way acquired. And it may be that definitely his parking lot is going to become narrower, right? And so what I would recommend if the board is inclined to approve this, I don't necessarily know that Mr. Patel will need the additional parking at this time, but I think it's good that we have this on record as far as he's willing to do this if he needs to do this in the future. And tentatively, the highway superintendent, Wilson Road is a county road, and the highway superintendent didn't see any immediate problems with putting an additional driveway out onto Wilson Road. So I just wanted to add that as a point of clarity on there. Thank you. I'm sorry, Ms. Davis.
And if needed, could you also put spaces there? The picture shows sort of a trailer home, and I think it says took out trailer house. You mark that. Could you demolish parking there, and would you be willing to do that? Do you have any other proposed uses for that property? So if the state were to, or whoever's going to widen Warrington Road, were to take some of your property where you can park in front of the store, what other options would you have?
On the next, like that's my property, and actually I just bought this property for building on it. That part of like his self to be there, so I want that property. So I'm not, like in future, I'm not going to use that property for any use, it's going to be staged there. But in case the road is going to be expand, I will make parking lot over there.
Are you planning to operate the stores from 9 to 8, Monday through Saturday, and 10 to 6 on Sunday?
Yes, sir.
And are you willing to comply with whatever reasonable request that we're making? I don't have any further questions. If you guys have any questions for either me or Mr. Patel, we would love to try to answer them.
So the upstairs is going to remain a resident?
Residential, sir.
I have a question about that. Is people living up there now?
Yes.
The windows are all broken out.
Is it somebody living there, you said?
No, not right now.
Oh, I thought they were.
Like I moved out over there, but I found some issue that's very old, so I just moved back to my like apartment.
Oh, you were living there?
Yeah,
Okay.
myself.
You're going to convert the upstairs to a residence?
It's going to be resident.
Say that again?
It's going to be resident?
Yes, resident.
It currently is a residence.
It is a red, but he's going to.
Nobody, the windows are broken out.
No, what I'm saying is it is a residential.
It's already-
It's not commercial upstairs, it's residential. It needs to be upgraded, obviously, for somebody to live there, but the upstairs will not be part of the commercial building.
Is that an issue with downstairs being commercial and upstairs being a residence? That's not,
It was that way. That's part of the grandfathered in, and we're not changing the residence that was already on the top of the building.
when you make this drive around from Wilson, will that include a drive-through window?
Drive-through window?
Oh, no, I'm not planning to do that.
Are they required to have an alcohol, sale for alcohol permit?
Yes, sir. So and that's actually what precipitated all of this. He came in for me to sign his application to the beer board. Part of the review of that is the property okay to do that? I couldn't sign it at that time. Presumably, he will reapply, or actually apply. He never successfully applied. If this board has approved the use of the tobacco store, I would be able to sign off my portion of that. It still have to go before the beer board, and they still have to, get a beer license to be able to sell.
Just for off-premise, right?
Yes.
Not on-premise.
I must have missed. I didn't see anything about alcohol in this request. Was there? What page is that on?
If you look,
There's a mention of beer on
Yes.
page 2, and we're talking about section 5.4. It talks about plans to include selling tobacco products and accessories and beer within a permit application. That's in the paragraph, there is a paragraph that says section 5.4.
Mr. Chairman, that's the second page of the staff report. Fourth paragraph.
5.4?
Yes.
It's underneath that, the next paragraph, it starts with the applicant as provided.
Okay. But that's beer only. It's not wine and...
And only for operations, if nobody's been drinking.
I've never been into a tobacco store, so I've got questions. You do $2,000 a day, that's what you project?
Yes, sir.
So you do $750,000, one person.
No, 2000 a day, like gross sales.
Yeah, 350 days, $750,000 a year.
That's a good profit.
Yeah, because that's like profit in place, but
Well, I ain't got no problem with it. I just do you, are you tax exempt?
no.
In a tobacco store, you gonna sell vape, all that stuff?
People sell it, but I'm not planning to do it.
You're gonna sell bags of tobacco?
I'm sorry.
You're gonna sell bags of tobacco?
So bags of tobacco or
Yeah, the bubble bags.
and cigarette paper,
Right, yeah, cigarette papers.
pipe tobacco, pipes, chewing tobacco,
Chewing tobacco.
snuff,
So, yeah,
chewing gum.
chewing.
Chew gum.
Yeah. So,
Okay. All right. That's,
If they were going to build a structure today, what would the setback requirements be? And where are they related to that?
In that zone off of Morganton, they would be required to be 30 feet, setback 30 feet for the front of the structure from the edge of the right-of-way. I'm not sure
Edge of the
where.
right of way.
Yes, sir, which is the property line. The property line and the edge of the right-of-way are the same. Looks like he is 47 and a half feet from there.
From the right of way?
Yes, sir.
So he would meet the front setback requirements if he was building today.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
evidently, we didn't have no objections. No one's here.
Well, we can ask that right quick. Anyone here opposed to this request? Okay.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I appreciate you hearing us, if there's no more questions, I'll
Okay, any other questions?
Nope, I have.
How many tobacco stores are there, or cigarette stores are there in the county? We know
I think 4.
4.
In Blount County. I don't know about city, but in Blount County, 4.
Bobby, did you say that 15% of the Tennesseans' population smoke? Did I hear that correct?
Oh, I said like 50% profit margin.
No, how many, I asked you how many Tennesseans smoke.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know.
Yeah, I thought,
Sorry.
okay.
Yeah, I thought like everyone, that's what I said.
So what was the 15%, Melanie?
Well, I had thought it was percentage of Tennesseans that smoke too, because that was we must have had a communication issue, because that's the question I asked, but, you're talking about 15% profit margin? Okay. Do you know of the population, how many people smoke, like, out of 10 people in Tennessee?
That's, I don't know.
Okay, I just, okay.
I don't understand.
We had a communication issue there, because I thought
Got
that
it.
was that question.
Okay, thank you.
I thought that might be a little less, because I think it's about a quarter.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, that's the information that I got, 25%.
So you don't think this area will become a non-tobacco free area?
I mean, it's going that way.
What are you smoking?
You know, and this has nothing to do with this, but it does too. If Tennessee done like Denver and some kind, and we made marijuana.
I can hear you. What'd you say?
If marijuana become legal in Tennessee, would that automatically mean tobacco stores could sell marijuana, or would that be? I wonder if that'd be a special permitting deal.
I may. Well, it's going to depend on how the law is written. I don't see that happening in our lifetimes, but if it does, it's going to depend on how the state decides to regulate and distribute it.
Well, you smoke it, so I smoke in the smoke shops.
I figured they're gonna figure out a way to tax it for you guys.
Mr. Chairman, are you ready for a motion?
Yes.
Well, I would move that we approve.
Have a motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. Roll call.
Bruce,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Stanley,
Yes.
Larry.
Yes. Okay. It's approved.
Thank you.
Melanie, are your offices smoke free?
Well, yeah.
Mr. Patel, if you want to contact my office or give me a call, make sure I'm available. You can bring in that application and I can sign it for you. And then you'll need to submit it over here to the clerk's office to get you on the beer board. Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you.
Good night. Anything else you gentlemen have for tonight?
I move we adjourn.
Do I hear a second? All in favor? Aye. Okay, guys, thank you very much.